Thursday morning, Week 11 in the NFL gets kicked off with a premier matchup. We get so many crap games on Thursday Night Football, and Al Michaels hates himself, and everybody talks about how boring he is in the booth because the games are boring. Not tonight. I know it's going to be a low-scoring game, but not tonight. This is a huge desperation spot for the Cincinnati Bengals as they take on the Baltimore Ravens, one of the premier matchups of the week. And then, of course, we get a pretty important slate coming up on Sunday that includes the Jets. And Rob Saleh spoke yesterday and basically confirmed what I had been thinking for a long time, that at some point, if and when Aaron Rodgers says he wants to play, he's going to walk in there and he's going to make that decision. Hey, I'm playing, guys. I don't care what you say. And if the Jets want to continue to be in this AFC playoff conversation, there is no room for error any longer. They have to go into Buffalo, and they have to win that game. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Good morning, G. I'm doing great. And for Aaron Rodgers to make it back would be a miracle. And I guess we're going to go right out of the therapy tub, right onto the football field without any practice, without any testing it out on the practice field, and getting out there and getting back used to playing football. You saw what happened when he barely played football in the OTAs, and what happened. He hesitated and he got hurt. And so now we're all expecting that somehow, some miraculous way, he's going to step on this field in December. The whole thing's a joke, actually.
Well, they were pressing him yesterday. The Jets beat was pressing Rob Saleh on this, basically saying that this would be an unprecedented situation if he came back in this short amount of time. And if he tells you he wants to play, then what the hell are you going to say? And Rob Saleh said, if the doctors clear him and Aaron wants to play, and I'm sure there's a million doctors, but I don't know anything about that. I mean, if I'm Joe Douglas, Rob Saleh, Woody Johnson, I'm thinking, hell, this sucked. I understand this was a bad situation that you tore your Achilles. You were going to be here for 2 or 3 years anyway. Let's just get this thing figured out for next year, because the last thing we need is for you to come back early and then tear something else, have this thing regress in some way, and then all of a sudden you never play a full game with the Jets. This has to stop. It has to stop that he is coming back, but it's not going to.
Right out of the therapy tub, right onto an NFL field against Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns. I will say that, if Aaron did not have that spot on McAfee, none of this would be an issue, I guess. Although he can clarify his statements that he tells sideline reporters and, analysts and everybody else before these games that he's on the sideline warming up, How's it feeling? Well, it's feeling great. In a couple of weeks, I think I'm going to really know where I'm going to be. I mean, and then he has to come on to McAfee and clean all that stuff up and basically tell everybody to keep it real. I think it's a joke that they're playing, and I think that they're playing it for their team, to keep their team engaged, because I don't believe the team believes in Zach Wilson. There was a report yesterday, 80% of the Patriot players don't believe in Mac Jones. How many percentage of players, on the Jets believe in Zach Wilson? I mean, that's the problem, and they're trying, and I don't know if Aaron's doing it on purpose. I don't know if Saleh is answering these questions the way they are. I mean, normally when guys are hurt, they kind of disappear and they go into their rehab mode, and sometimes they do it around the team, sometimes they don't. No, I think that he's got such a strong personality, and we all saw that on Hard Knocks for the Jets. He needs to be here. Now, he's not here right now, but he needs to be here, and he needs to be in that room, because there are a lot of young players that have no idea what they're doing, and they can have a team-only meeting, and if he's not in there, what are they doing? They're talking to each other round and round in circles. All I know is that, coming out of the therapy tub and going onto an NFL football field is crazy. It's nuts. And it's not attainable. I mean, and then there's always the risk. Like, we assume that a guy comes back from an injury like Breece Hall, but he sat out for a year. But we always assume that, this guy is going to be right back to where he was prior to that injury. There's no way.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes time. You have to really feel comfortable about being able to put real weight and real stress on whatever the injury may be. I can't even believe we're talking about it.
Well, yeah, because he won't stop talking about it. And he did mention on McAfee how if they are in it, and meaning the Jets, if they're in it and he can come back and he gets cleared and he expects to get cleared, he expects them to be in it, then he's going to play. But I mean, that seems to me an odd statement, because if you're either healthy enough to play or not, you can't say that after an Achilles tear. We're not talking about some injury that you're playing through, like a bone bruise or something, or I'm wrapping up a hand or a finger and I'm going to go out there and play. We're talking about a torn Achilles. Healthy. We're talking about that. So you're either fully recovered from that or you're not. You can't say, well, I'm going to push up the timeline from this torn Achilles because the Jets could make the playoffs, or I'm not going to play because they're not in it.
Yeah, the fact that he has that, paid appearance on McAfee just kind of adds fuel to all of this, because he sits there and he talks about it and those guys ask him about it, and then he's got to kind of meander around it, and he uses maybe, could be, we'll see, I have to get over hurdles. I mean, all those kind of buzzwords that tell you that, the reality is that he's not playing. And it would be nuts to put him out there. It really would be. And you're also talking about a doctor's reputation. You're talking about Neil Elatraj. It's his reputation. He's the one who did the surgery. He's the one that did the speed bridge surgery that supposedly lessens the time to about 5 months. And that's for a 22-year-old running back, Cam Akers.
Yeah, who ended up tearing his other Achilles this season, which is just unbelievably bad luck. But as I mentioned before, it is his reputation. So if Aaron Rodgers goes out there too soon and gets hurt again, then everybody's going to look at Neil Elatraj's surgery and say, all right, it didn't work. But if Aaron Rodgers does go out there and plays well and looks healthy and does something that no one's ever done, then that just elevates the profile of the doctor. But I don't think he's going to be thinking that. I can't imagine for the first time ever that the doctors are going to clear him in this amount of time. But but Rob Saleh's fueling it too. Your take on how maybe they're dangling this in front of the team, I can understand that, because I don't see any other reason why they'd be talking about this. But at the same time, if that's what they're doing, I really don't like that, because you're essentially lying to the team to tell them to feel better about something, which is like it's like the tooth fairy.
I guess if you have a sliver of belief in it, then you basically can say that you really truly believe that you can accomplish what he's trying to accomplish. I would imagine he's also doing everything possible that he can possibly do to speed up the healing process. But the human body's the human body. I mean, you can manifest all you want. I mean, if you want to risk something and you want to risk next year, I think that would be a little reckless on his part. And I think the Jets still have to have their eye on next year, because most of these guys will still be here next year, and maybe some other improvements via the draft and via free agency that will make this team even better than it is right now. But I don't personally see it. I don't see how it happens. And I'll stand by that until I see otherwise.
All right, off the top of your head, excluding Bill Belichick for a second, name me the coach immediately when I say that guy's in charge of that organization in the NFL. Who is it?
Andy Reid.
Okay, Andy Reid. Now, if Andy Reid were the Jets coach, put Andy Reid in front of this situation right now. If Andy Reid is asked in an interview, why haven't you elevated Trevor Siemian right now, what would he say?
What would he say? Because I have Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I'm saying he's on the. That's not what I'm saying.
All right,
put Andy. I know.
I was just
put
kidding.
Andy Reid in the Jets situation.
What would he say? I think. I just think I believe in the quarterback that I have, and everybody has to raise their level of play, and we have to support him because he's the guy that I've chosen to play for us. Something along those lines.
And what did Rob Saleh say with that same question? I plead the fifth. Okay.
Well, that was a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Fine. All right. So now yesterday, I'm doing this now, bringing it to yesterday.
Okay.
Someone asked Andy Reid, if Andy Reid is coaching the Jets, hey, if Aaron Rodgers comes to you and he says he wants to play, like, what do you say?
I have to say, well, I'll worry about that when I get there. I'm not even thinking about that right now. I have to worry about the guys that I have playing quarterback right now, and I got to get this team right.
Exactly. This is my point. And what did Rob Saleh say? Aaron Rodgers is a big boy. He's going to make big boy decisions. If he comes to us and says he wants to play, he's going to go out there and play. The point that I'm making is that Rob Saleh isn't in charge here at all. And he shows this in almost every single press conference that he has or interview that he has. He's not in charge. And on top of it, these players who go to social media and say whatever the hell they want. And yesterday, another thing happened in the locker room that really bothered me. So Izzy Abanaconda is getting interviewed, who by all accounts is like the greatest kid. And some people, he went to Pitt. Some people I know there said, I'm so happy for him. He's getting his opportunity. He's getting interviewed by the media yesterday for the first time because he gets elevated after the Michael Carter release. So as he's getting interviewed, a Jet player, Rich Cimini tweets this out yesterday because he's in the locker room. A Jet player walks by and says, shout out to Michael Carter while Izzy is getting interviewed. I mean, that's some backstabbing bullcrap that reminds me of the Mike White T-shirts last year. So every week, I get a different reason to not believe that Rob Saleh is in charge, and ultimately, that is going to hurt them. And I know this is all about Aaron Rodgers and him coming back, and I was supposed to be the savior, and I think that a healthy Aaron Rodgers with Nathaniel Hackett, I don't even think Rob Saleh even plays into that equation because it'll be Aaron's team. But there are so many, when you think about the guys who are in charge of their teams, they don't answer questions like this. They don't have players on social media doing dumb stuff. I mean, for God's sakes, Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift, and it's less of a distraction than some of the Jet stuff on Twitter. And forget about Andy Reid's been doing it 100 million years. Think about a guy like Dan Campbell. Think Dan Campbell's going to answer the question? I plead the fifth? No, Dan Campbell's in charge of that team. He's going to give you an answer because he's the one who makes the decisions.
I would also say that the Michael Carter thing that you were talking about yesterday and the way that Mekhi Becton was reacting to it the other day, I would say that, yeah, there are situations going on in that locker room. There's no question about it. Players don't normally react this way. I don't know what's happening over there. I know losing brings out the ugliness in the sport and in the personalities of the people that are in the midst of losing or not living up to their expectations. And I just think a lot of this goes back to Zach, unfortunately, because he's the one that is supposed to get the team in the end zone, and he hasn't. And you have the Aaron Rodgers thing out there. You got now they get rid of Michael Carter. I thought that they got rid of Michael Carter because Michael Carter felt like, I would think that he would feel like he should have gotten more touches, that he's a better player than that they were showing. But the problem is they don't have any rhythm on offense. So without any rhythm on offense, guys don't get on the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have multiple first downs and multiple drives of 10, 12, 13 plays, guys are not going to play. If you have a number of 3 and outs, 5 and outs, 6 and outs, or whatever it may be, I mean, I think the Jets have got to have, in the first half, I would think, and I don't know the statistics regarding this, but in the first half alone, I have to believe they have the fewest possessions in terms of lengthy plays. Lengthy possessions because even some of the touchdown drives that they had was one play, after a turnover, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, therefore, there's not enough playing time for everybody to be satisfied. And I do think Rob Saleh was right when he did say, and I felt this too, that somebody will pick up Michael Carter, on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody
100%.
will. And he wasn't exactly playing great in the opportunities he had, but I just found that to be another one of those things, another one of those. The players rule the roost here after their players-only meeting, by the way. I mean, did these teams that have these great dominant head coaches have players-only meetings and keep the coaches out of it?
It happens. I mean, when the team's not living up to its expectations and guys are making mistakes and one guy seems to be taking all the slings and arrows, a.k.a. Zach Wilson, you have to kind of stand up and you have to take account yourself and say, hey, look, and I'm assuming that Garrett Wilson got up there and had a little come-to-Jesus moment with the team that, hey, look, guys, I know I made my share of mistakes. It's not just on Zach. It's on me. I got to be better, and hopefully he will be better this week against Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't – my faith in the head coach when things are crumbling is just not there. And I know that, to me, I can't backtrack on Zach being the biggest problem because he is, but great head coaches figure out a way when – things aren't going their way to keep things together. And they are on the verge. They are on the verge right now.
Of collapse.
Yes. So let's see it then, Rob. Keep these guys together. Figure it out. Win one of these next 2 games. Win this week. That be prepared. I mean, go out there and win a football game that people don't expect you to win. Again, he did that with the Philadelphia Eagles, which was a great victory. So it's in there. But, I mean, I feel like they're dangling by a thread. So who's the person that's going to come in and save him when Aaron Rodgers can't play? Who is it? We know it's not Zach Wilson. It's got to be the head coach. Has to be.
Well, Kevin O'Connell's figured it out in Minnesota, at least for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we'll see where that ends up. They're riding high. Things change in the NFL very, very quickly.
They do.
But that was a team that was 1-4, and they went on a 5-game winning streak.
It's amazing. What are we, like 4 or 5 weeks since the Jets beat the Philadelphia Eagles at home? Mm-hmm. And here we sit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing how quickly things go. And like we kind of glance over the Charger loss at home because to me that was the worst of them all.
Certainly.
Other than the Cowboy loss at the Cowboys, but that I think we all expected that Charger loss at home, especially with the way the defense played.
Yeah.
And how bad the Charger defense is. For that team to play that way and to be so like flat on offense again, to me that is like a game that sticks out like a sore thumb to me.
Yeah, it was terrible. And that was the game, too, that we were saying if Zach Wilson is going to end up throwing for significant yardage and scoring some touchdowns, this is going to be the week because of that weak secondary of the Chargers and how they've played football up until that point. And then you saw how, all of a sudden that defense woke up, got healthy, and then the next week they gave up, 41 points?
Yeah, we're literally like 11 weeks, right, since Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And going into the season, or just right on the cusp of going into the season, and all of these high hopes for this team that were dashed literally within 4 plays.
But the point is, and I agree with that. The point is, they still have a chance. I don't believe that it's likely.
Pretty much everybody,
but
in the
they
AFC
still
has
have
a
an
chance,
opportunity,
except for Tennessee and New England.
Right. Yeah, those teams certainly out of it, especially New England right now.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.